Hey folks, this is Colin Richards, president and founder of Lord & Richards, and we're here today talking to you about the problem of the coming tax storm. And in a previous segment called The Tax Storm, Will It Affect Me?, we really discussed the problem of the Great American Savings Myth, the idea that one day if you set aside your money in 401ks and defer those taxes, one day you'll be in a lower bracket, and that's just not likely. So what we have set up together is that we are now in a partnership with the U.S. government. And you know, folks like you that I'm talking to every single day are very concerned about being in that partnership. And taxes is one of the many ways that they're concerned their retirement is going to derail. So what we do here at Lord & Richards is we build a plan to help you achieve financial independence, and that includes a written tax plan. Now, as you have gone into partnership with the IRS, it might feel a little bit weakening. It might feel a little bit discouraging as you say, wow, you know, I've got IRAs or I've got a 401k or 403b. And so one day I know whether I take that money out on my own or if I'm forced by the government at age 72, required minimum distributions, I may well be paying more taxes than I planned. And one of the problems that we have with the current federal stimulus is that we're likely to blow up some of those tax rates in the future. We'll get to that in a subsequent session. But for right now, we're just dealing with the fact that the government has been spending like there's no tomorrow. You ought to write this down or just put this away in your memory if you're driving along the road right now. There is a website that has been called to my attention and that I've been looking at for years now. It's called usdebtclock.org, usdebtclock.org. And if you go to that site, don't do it now if you're driving, it's got numbers in motion. They're not static. And they include all of the national debt. They include household debt, consumer debt, and so forth. They even include a category called unfunded liabilities. You say, well, what can we take away from that? Well, just 2 years ago, our U.S. national debt was about $24 trillion. Today, it stands at nearly $31 trillion. So our government is amassing debt at an unsustainable pace. And let me ask you, folks, now you're good down-home economists yourselves. Don't sell yourself short. If you're at home and your income is exceeded by your expenses, in other words, you're spending more than what is coming in, is that good economic policy for your home? Absolutely not. Then why should the government get a free pass? Well, they're not. The problem is the government is in a position to go out and print money anytime it needs it. And it does that essentially by asking for you and me to lend it money. And countries across the world, like China, in the form of U.S. bonds, debt. And so as the government accumulates more debt, there is a question out there, and there's not a clear answer. How much can we accumulate as a percentage of all the economic activity in our country before we're pushed into a default, before people don't want to lend money to the government anymore? Well, right now, U.S. money is considered, or U.S. debt's considered pretty safe. But we have moved in just 2 years from 115% debt to gross domestic product. That means 31 trillion of debt against 23 trillion of the total economic activity in this country. You divide that and you come up with 130%, 130% GDP to debt ratio. That is huge, debt to GDP, pardon me, because at some point people are going to begin to say, you know what, you don't really have the wherewithal to pay us back. And what's going to happen then? Well, if the credit rating of the United States falls, we're going to see increases in interest rates. We've already seen it done through adjustments by the Fed. We've already seen that done because of monetary policy, trying to cool things down. But what happens when the world increases our rates because they want to get paid well for our less high quality debt? That's a challenge. That's a problem. In addition, the government is going to be pushing for more revenue. And so there are some ways that you're going to get caught in if you don't plan in advance. And you know what? I say this too often, but I think it's a great quotation failing to plan is planning to fail. Failing to plan is planning to fail. And if we don't get ahead of the problem, we're going to be a victim of the problem. Here's a couple ways you may want to employ if you really do want to pay more taxes. Just wait around for the bracket changes. We're going to talk about that. But we know that your tax bracket is going to go up in 2026. No matter what happens, the expiration of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act will land. Historically, Congress lets those laws expire because their political usefulness is no more. And it went to a prior generation of senators and congressmen. And looking at deficit and entitlement spending right now, trillions of new debt through stimulus packages has almost guaranteed us higher tax rates. So just wait around and don't get proactive with brackets. Deductions are going to expire as well. Congress doesn't want to vote on tax increases, but what they're sure going to do is let deductions that were voted into law expire. And then finally, stealth tax. And we're going to do a whole session on that in the future. If you say, well, this concerns me. I do need a written tax plan, Colin, and I need to get a plan in place to achieve financial independence. Well, as with everything we do, your financial independence review is just a phone call away, a complimentary consultation where we can help you develop a plan to achieve financial independence.